Who wants a life of freedom where health and finances are not your limiting factors? The secret to overcoming a lot of the obstacles in your life is self-discipline. About 6 years ago, I became really interested in investment strategies for retirement, which eventually turned into a lot of study into personal finances. And one of the major things I've learned over the past 6 years is what diligence and time can do for your retirement finances. So now we're going to look at how self-discipline can affect your health, your personal finances, and your investment strategies. So first, we look at health. And I think pretty much everyone knows what you need to do to maintain good health. You need to maintain a good diet, a healthy body weight, get sufficient sleep, exercise regularly, don't smoke, limit your alcohol consumption. These are all common sense things, but they require self-discipline to maintain over the long term. It's not like you can eat healthy today and then forego it for the next 6 months, or you can't hit the gym for 10 hours a day for a whole week and say, well, that was my exercise for the rest of the month or the rest of the year. You need this consistency, this diligence, this self-discipline over time to achieve these goals. To that effect, the Harvard School of Public Health actually conducted a study over numerous years, one over 28 years, another over 34. And they looked at these 5 key areas: healthy body weight, healthy diet, regular exercise, limit alcohol, and no smoking. And they looked at, and basically what the study found was, if people implemented this change at age 50 and maintained these 5 low risk factors for the remainder of their lives, they would live 12 or 14 years longer, depending on whether they were a man or a woman. So basically they would increase their lifespan by almost a third. Very powerful, but it does require self-discipline over a long period of time. This brings me to my second point. So we all know we want to retire someday. At least I think most of us aspire to this. I just said that if you are self-disciplined, you can live longer. That also means you have to live longer on the money you have accumulated through the course of your life, which is where personal finances comes in. Personal finances also require self-discipline. You have to work on these strategies over the long term. You have to live on a budget, limit your waste, and make sure you're saving and investing for the long term, consistently over a long period of time. Ramsey Solutions, which is a debt management school company, conducted a study of 10,000 millionaires back in 2018, and they found a lot of interesting factors that actually affect wealth generation here in the US. And first of all, 78% of millionaires are actually self-made. That means that they didn't inherit their money. It was all self-made. They made their investments over the long term, and the average age was 49 years of age. It doesn't happen quickly. It's a long-term strategy. Second, they found that 62% of millionaires never averaged over $100,000 in household income, which means it's available to the majority of the US population if you enact the right character traits. Frugal, live on less than you make, invest the difference over the long term. The reason for this is compound interest. Compound interest is basically where your interest makes interest on your interest. And over time, this becomes very powerful. Basically, a dollar invested today turns into $88. A dollar invested at age 20 turns into $88 at age 65. So a person in their 20s or early 20s can invest about $100 a month, and if they do that throughout their working career until age 65, they would already have $1 million. And the majority of that return, over 90%, would have been the growth, not your contributions. Which brings me to investment strategies. So maintaining this course for the long term, yes, you have to invest consistently. You have to work on it over and over as the years go by, but you also have to be consistent and self-disciplined in how you implement your investment strategies. So I think everybody wants to buy low, sell high, right? That's what we always hear. That's how you make the most money. If you time the market perfectly, you'll make money. The reality is that is a true statement. However, very few can actually manage that strategy over the long term. There is a podcast that I like to listen to, hosted by Brian Preston. He's a certified financial planner and a CPA, runs a wealth management company by the name of Abound Wealth. And one of the financial studies they did is they looked at the historical return of the market, the S&P 500, and if you invested $10,000 in 1980, and then you looked at how much was worth at the end of 2018, you would have seen that 10,000 would have turned into $669,000. It's a pretty good return for 38 years. Now, why am I mentioning this? Consistency, right? I was talking about timing the market. Well, in those 38 years, there are about 9,500 trading days. And if you just lose 5 of those days, 5 single days, the 5 best trading days, your 669,000 would have turned into 430,000. And if you lost the best 10 days, it's down to 318,000. Still a good return, but that's less than half of what it could have been if you just stayed in the market that whole time. So here's the point. It's almost impossible to figure out what 5 or 10 days in that 38-year period are going to be those days. Almost no one can time the market. However, it's more important is time in the market, that consistency over time. The earlier you start, the more heavily you invest in the beginning, the bigger your return will be at the end. I don't think there's a lot of new things that I've mentioned in this talk. The difficulty is using strategies to implement these goals. And I think one of the biggest things you can do is set specific goals. Specific goals that you are able to achieve. Because if you achieve these goals, good health, financial freedom, it gives you the option of building on the purposes that you want in life, achieving those things. So to end on a simple note, the future is what you make of it. Set specific goals, be diligent and self-disciplined in the pursuit of those goals, and you will achieve them. Thank you for your time.